I do love these windows. Hello and welcome to another Mr. Betabyte video, and this one's a little bit different insofar as a good friend of the channel, Rich, sent this HF100 for me to take a look at. Now this machine is in excellent condition. Basically he just wants me to check it over, and just reading from his email, he got it earlier this year from the original owner, who bought it and used it only lightly for around 6 months before buying a VHS machine and then putting it in storage, which is not that uncommon, to be honest. He says it could possibly do with the power supply caps, testing and changed if necessary, and yeah, we'll have a look at that. And also a good check through, and your usual high standard of checking, which is really nice, thank you. The lid's not been off it, so I'll be the first person to actually look inside this machine. I guess from new. No reason it's ever had the lid off, so that would be really cool. Should have only very minimal wear, and the only downside to it is it didn't come with the remote. So the HF100 is a Beta Hi-Fi machine. It's a 4-head machine. 2 of the heads are the video heads, so video helical scan, and are pretty much the same as the say the C20, C30, but it does have those additional 2 heads for the AFM Beta Hi-Fi, and they actually record the hi-fi stereo track in between the video signal stripes on the cassette, on the tape. So you could say it's a fairly basic machine. Obviously the HF950 had the additional head for the perfect stills and all the trick modes. Looking at the machine, it's fairly basic. Got clock set there. Common problem with this is people did actually use a pencil or biro, and they ended up getting pretty sort of messed up. You can, if you've got a fingernail, if you're lucky enough to have a fingernail long enough, you can just press it, and you only have to press it. You don't have to hold it, and it will put it into clock set mode. So that's really cool. You can set the time. We've also got tone control. The green dots denote the sort of the perfect, if you like, settings, the default settings. So like the recording volume, set it to the green and it should be okay. It does suggest you have it on tuner. Obviously that's pointless these days, and it's not a bad idea to leave it on line camera, just so the tuner section isn't actually working as such. I mean, obviously it's still got voltage going to it, but you know, it does sort of disable parts of it. So we've got the level meters, which you might want to turn off if you've got an older machine, so you don't start getting dropping, LEDs dropping. Very common fault on those. I will do a video. I have covered sort of replacing the LEDs on these. It's never the chips, it's always the LEDs. I think I've only ever had one VU meter that had some other fault going on, probably was a chip. So yeah, I will do a video on that where you can actually see me changing the LEDs. Then we've got recording video or sound, so you can actually flick it down to record sound from a sound source, and it will keep the lock. So the video picture will be blank, but the audio will be recorded with that high fidelity Beta Hi-Fi MPX filter. Sort of works okay. Just filters out noise a bit. Then we've got the audio, beta hi-fi, normal and auto. And I think on this machine, if you put it on normal and you record, it will still do the beta hi-fi. This is just for playback. So when you play back, you can actually just listen to the linear audio or the beta hi-fi, and then, like I say, you've got tone. Timing, do you want to know about the timer? Probably not. You've got a TV VTR button there, which is pretty redundant, to be honest, with the because you're going to be using the phono outs, but this does actually turn on the RF outs. Then you've got the normal tape controls, tape transport controls, headphone socket. These are always noisy because they don't get used. The phone's level there, that never gets used, so that's always noisy, but we'll check that. Record button, eject. Got the same split doors on the front here for the cassette entry, very similar to the C20, 30, 40. You know, it's C80. It's sort of that vintage. Now these machines, I really do like them. I think they're great, but they do have a lot of problems, and I'm hoping this won't have them because it's so young. But on the other hand, it has been off for a lot of years. It's not seen much use, so that could cause its own problems. But I'm hoping, having worked on a number of slow 1700 machines as well, which share not a huge amount of different components from this, that maybe with a bit of use as well, it will need a good run-in period before I send this back to Rich, just to make sure that it is actually working properly. But yeah, so let's actually have a look at this machine and just see how good it is. Okay, so let's take out the final screw. 4 screws holding the cover. Oh gosh, it really has never had the cover off because the lid is actually stuck to the they have like foam pads, and it was actually stuck. That's amazing. And gosh, I mean, it's so clean as well. Look at that, and it's still got the numbers. I've not actually seen a number on the bottom of these, on the underside of the top cover. It's like done in chalk, I think. So, well, it's quite an amazing machine, to be fair. Let's just have a look at the drum. And as Rich quite correctly said, this has no wear. I mean, literally no wear. I can see a very slight line. So it's got a few hours on it, but it's like new. Wow. So I think what we need to do, give it a bit of a dust out. And I'll take this cover off. We'll just double check everything is okay. We'll load a cassette, play a tape, and just see how it performs. Yeah, and doing it from cold is actually really good as well, just so we can see what how the caps are behaving. But I don't think I'll be touching that mechanism, to be honest. What I will do is I'll probably just pull off the pull out the motor for the loading lacing, but it's the lacing I'm interested in because the black gear might have a split in it, so we'll check that. Power supply. So it's all one board, Those are the caps that we are interested in. Bipolar. Bit of something interesting on the bottom of that, actually. So I think I'll be changing those. 47 microfarad, and they're probably 10 volt. So I think they need to come out, and we'll just change those. It's weird that it's got that, whatever it is, on the bottom of it. What's going on there? So that's that. And again, we'll give it a clean. And the other thing that's really nice about this machine is the front flap. These tabs always break. They are so fragile. I don't know what Sony were thinking sometimes with these things. But these are perfect, which is really lovely. But it's that thing, you know, you've got tracking control there, and that's something you probably would want, especially as the machine's got older, or you borrowed tapes off your friends or whatever. You would need to get to the tracking control, and you're always opening this door, and it's just, they're so weak. So, okay. Yeah, so I'm tempted to take this cover off. Let's load a cassette, see what it's like. Okay, so powered up. Interesting, when I first initially put power onto this, the power supply sort of whistled, and that's a good sign that those caps are a little bit borderline. I'm just hoping they don't give out before we have a chance to actually test the machine. But yeah, that's right up on the top of the list to get sorted, because it does pop the two power transistors as well, so it's not good. The deck is amazing. The machine is amazing. I've given it a bit of a clean already, just dusted out a few bits. See there where dust has got through and sort of marked the can. That's fine, but yeah, I'm just being picky really. So cassette, let's try it. Lacing's good. Let's check the VU meters. Really, really good. Nice to see those working well. That's actually really, really good. They're nice and bright as well. They do go dull, but they're really good. I mean, I've got the light on as well, so I'm really impressed with that. And there's a picture. Furthest left, it loses lock, which is normal on these. Furthest right, just see a bit of noise coming in, but it's fine. Absolutely spot on. What a beautiful machine. Look at that clock. That's so bright. These do suffer with the VFDs going bad. And they very quickly sort of burn out and go very dull. And but this one, I mean, you can see this is so low hours, and it's just amazing. So what I'm going to do, just so I'm not running those VU meters more than I need to, I'm going to turn them off. So there, switch there. Super. So see there, TV, ETR, no effect on the line output, but yeah, it's just RF. So I think all we need to do to this machine, take the bottom cover off. We'll have a look under there and give it a dust out. Do those two caps, and maybe the 350 volt ones, those two 350 volt ones as well. They tend not to be bad, but they take a lot of space, and the modern equivalent is much shorter, It's better ventilation. I don't know, does it make a difference? Probably not, but let's do it. It's easy enough to do while I'm in there. Those 47 microfarad 10 volt caps are notoriously bad, and I have got 16 volt decent ones. The bipolar caps as well, so don't stick standard electrolytics, polarized electrolytics in, because they will go pop. Or actually they probably won't. What will probably go pop is the transistors. So yeah, so let's get and do that next. Excellent. So another thing that can give it away slightly that it's never been opened is the fact that as these come out, they're stiff on the last sort of bit of the thread. Not always the case. It depends if they've been stored in the damp. They can do that as well, because the dust sort of absorbs moisture and you get all sorts of problems. But here's the underneath, which did also mention about putting strengthening or the additional wire to help sort of secure these connections, because they're fairly low duty, they're just not that strong. So by putting wire for the actual center connections, then the ground is usually fine. It just makes them a lot more reliable and a lot more sort of up to the job of constant in and out with the connections, which you do need in this day and age if you're using these machines. So yeah, I'll do that as well. Got the head drive and capstan drive transistors here. This cap can sometimes cause problems because there's a headphone amp as well here. I've had that cap sizzle away, which is quite fun, because I don't really, if you're not listening to headphones, you wouldn't even notice it had gone bad. Tiny bit of corrosion there, but that's nothing at all. What a lovely machine. It really is just perfect. The other thing I want to check as well is I'm sure this is still going to have glue on the Hall effect. So let's have a look at that next. So I seem to have found an expired woodlouse just fell out the machine. Bless it. Yeah, so unsurprisingly, it's got glue on the Hall effect, so I'm going to clean that off. There's actually not a huge amount there, and it doesn't look too bad. I mean, I think this machine's been fairly dry stored. I don't think it's even been in an attic. You can just see the difference a well-stored machine can make to things like that. But yeah, I'll clean that off, and yeah, we'll crack on. Well, that was really easy. There was so little glue on there, and I do wonder if this is just before the time they really, or about the time they realised that this glue was causing problems, because yeah, it was very easy to clean off, and yeah, I just literally used a cotton wool bud Q-tip, depending on how you feel about them, and a little bit of isopropyl 99% on there, and then soak it. I just use a dry toothbrush and cleaned off the glue, and I scraped in between the legs with my trusty sacrificial tweezers, just to make sure it's absolutely clean between the legs. And yeah, that was really easy. What's interesting, you'll see some markings here. They aren't from me. It's almost like sort of contamination from fingers or something. I don't know. Just really interesting. Don't know what that's about. I can sort of feel a little bit of contamination on there. Nothing to worry about. I'm just intrigued, really, because it's never been opened. Yeah, taking the screws out for this board, it was a similar sort of thing. It was actually quite stiff, and I mean, the cans look great as well. No finger marks or anything on them. So, yeah. Wow. Fantastic. Okay, so I'm going to put the screws back in. Yeah, I suppose the next thing is I'll probably do these next. So I can get the bottom cover put back on then. And then we can take the power supply out, put the caps in. And, yeah, take it from there. So let's get these sockets reinforced. So there we have it, all done, all strengthened up. Basically, this is to add a bit more strength, but also if these do have a significant knock, you can actually break the print. So this should help keep the connection if that does happen. But yeah, that's all good to go. So I'll put this back on and put the bottom back on, and we'll have a look at the power supply. Okay, so power supply next. We have a few things to remove. I'm going to take out the power switch. And the power supply does actually come out on a chassis. So 2 screws there, screw down there, screw at the back, I seem to remember, 2 screws for the heatsink. And that's lifted out, take the main switch out as well and feed the cable, not feed the cable through. No, this comes out all in one, I think. Oh, let's have a go. Let's see how we go. So first thing, take out the connectors. These are all unique to each connector on pin count, so you don't have to label them up. Typical Sony. Doing that, and that one as well. That's the one that goes down to the headphone amplifier. I believe that's what that powers. The capstan and head reel are powered from the SS board. Got that right. So. I'm not too worried about the screws, although I have put the bottom back on now, so if they fall through it could be a bit of a jiggling session. That's fine. Yeah, so I've taken those screws out. They were really tough, to be fair. So one here, one here, one here, then you've got one here. It's all the arrowed screws. That allows the whole lot just to pretty much just come out, drop the screw. So retrieve those before they go into the ether. And there you have it. So there's the power supply. Obviously we're not there yet because we have to take the actual PCB off the base tray. A few spots of rust there, I'll treat those. So, yes, but you can see here, I mean, look at that drum. That needs nothing done to it. It's so low hours, it's just absolutely beautiful. Wow. Yeah, so let's crack on. Yeah, so where I was getting confused is before now I have just taken the PCB out, leaving the whole of the power supply block assembly in place. But I think it's easier if we do it this way. You've got a lot more space to sort of move things about. No, there we go. So that's off. You can see why I said about removing the power switch. It does give a little bit more play, but that's fine. We can manage this.
So take the top, bang, 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 and the bottom trays off, covers. So it's got plastic on it for the class 2. And basically we are looking at, I think it's those 2 caps. Out of interest, I will just check across this cap. You know, you never know. But yeah, 0.5 volts, absolutely fine. We're going to blow ourselves up, which is always a positive thing. So, yeah, no, I've actually got that wrong. These are the 350s, 350 volt caps, which I'll probably change as well. So these 2, and then these are the bipolar ones. So they're here and here. So let's get those out. And I'm intrigued by that one capacitor that seemed to have some sort of residue on it. Yeah, we'll probably take those 350s out as well. Yeah, it's a 4.7 10 volt bipolar, so there's no negative strip. And taking them out, I've knocked off the little bit of whatever was on there. But I do wonder if... Oh, no, that's the one. I think it's a bit of flux. Oh. Let's have a look at these 350 volt ones as well. The best angle, I know. Yeah, so what I'll do now is I'll check the new bipolar caps. I did actually already go through this bag, but I have found occasionally out of the bag they have an ESR value that it means that the power supply will still hiss, or will hiss, and that's not great. So I'll just check them, and then we'll get them installed. Okay, so there in situ, I did end up actually putting the old ones back in because they tested absolutely perfect, and they're actually better than the new ones. I think those caps are not that great, and I think I might be sourcing some better quality ones. I don't know. I'm not happy with them, so I'd rather put these back. I will say, because this is so low hours and it's not been on that much, these are probably going to last years anyway. And like I say, they check absolutely perfect. So yeah, bipolars are in. I did check those for ESR as well, and they're both 0, which is what I'd expect. Like I said, I've had 1 or 2 that are 1.4 to 2.2 ohms. You get an ESR like that on these power supplies, and they will whistle. So if you change the caps and you get whistling, that'll be why. So let's solder these back in. So the 350, 4.7 350 volt ones, they are polarized. So negative goes to negative on the board, or the little white dot on the circle of the print of the capacitor. So Sony are really good at making sure that you can't go wrong. Even though I did go wrong, I did actually go wrong once. And there's a low voltage cap, smoothing cap on a, I don't think it was even a smoothing cap. It was a low value, low voltage cap. And yeah, it went bang. It was quite exciting. so there we go. It's not too bad. Quite like to clean the board up a bit, which I may well do. So, but yeah, that's looking good. And I will just check they are sitting properly. Which they are. So yeah, you can see the negative there, and then the dot on the print there, which is C610. That's what you want to be doing. Don't get them the wrong way around. You see there the dots, the negative. So yeah, so I think I can put this back together. Happy with that, and everything else looks good. It's like I say, it's seen so little use. There's no cooking at all. It can get a bit baked around here and here, and on this board as well. It's nothing at all. It's really, really tidy. So yeah, put it back together and see how we get on. Okay, so the last thing to do is check that lacing motor, that gear. I want to just check it first. No whistle, that's good. And we need a date. Okay, so lovely. So yeah, all good. Really pleased with that. You'll see little sparklies. There, it's a satellite recording of Bravo, and it wasn't the best quality. So yeah, it's really cool. Okay, so let's eject that, and let's lift that motor and just have a look. I'm really intrigued to see what that's like actually, because is it age, or is it just literally wear and tear that makes these gears crack? So let's have a look. Slacken this off. Need to take this belt off from front loading system, and then it seems wrong to do this because it's so tidy. But it does need to be checked, because it is just such a common issue with these this type of deck, this 711B2, and make sure that is okay. I don't know whether that screw is going to come out, because it feels like it's... Oh, well done. It's sort of a bit stuck. Yeah, we'll hook that out in a minute. So I'm hoping I should be able to lift this out without having to cut the there's a cable tie which you just about see there, which can restrict getting this out. So what do you reckon? Look how shiny that is. It's lovely. It's got a little bit of dust off there. Yeah, I can do it. So there is the gear. And that is absolutely perfect. Yeah, there's no crack in there at all. Don't know how well you can see that, but it's absolutely perfect. It's like brand new. So yeah, happy to drop that back in. Still a bit concerned where that screw went. But anyway, it'll be fine. We'll find it. Yeah, so that's worth knowing.
So age alone won't necessarily cause that gear to cause trouble. It just needs to sit properly, and sometimes it just takes a little bit of a jiggle. Move there's an insulating plastic piece here, but I think it's more to do with this gear here. It just doesn't locate into the corresponding gear, so you sort of have to. There we go. So it's gone in straight away, pretty much. So that's great. So what I'll do is I'll put it all back together, minus the missing screw that I dropped, and then we'll give it a bit of a shake, and hopefully that screw will drop out. Oh, that's really great. What a fantastic machine. Yeah, just really can't get over the quality of this machine. So that's how that goes back, because this always falls apart, because it's designed to come apart. But yeah, and then the spring goes back on there. And then, oh, he came off again. And then that little bit of plastic there goes that side of the rod that's coming out of the solenoid. So, like so. And I should be able to just let that go a little bit. I just get this screw lined up. Bit of fluff, which is now falling in, but I'll get that out. So there we go, all done. Obviously got to find that screw. Just put the belt back on, I suppose, for what it's worth, but I won't tension it yet because I haven't got that screw on. So just manipulate that belt back on. These things can be a bit of a pain. They do break, but you know, it's held. So yeah, super. So I think we're about there. I probably will take off the front cover, so the front of the cabinets. So we'll have a look at that to give it a quick clean. Check the headphone sockets, and all should be good. And the screw. Tension this up. Don't over tighten this because it cracks the back portion of the adjustment arm. It's not the end of the world if you do, but obviously you can't tighten this as tight when you do that. This also doesn't need to be that tight. It's a toothed belt. You're just taking out a little bit of the slack. Don't over tighten it because all it does is labour the motor and the epicyclic gears, so all the panic gears in there. So yeah, great, super. Front cover, well, front panel. So first screw out, second screw out. I was just going to take it off and not show it, but I thought, well, I'll show it. Third screw from there, and then screw from here. Then we've got a final screw at the top here. And then we should be able to pull this off. And if I remember rightly, yeah, the headphone volume control drops off. There's two reasons why I want to do this. One is to just clean the display. It's pretty good, but just needs sharpening up. And secondly, to check the headphone adjustments, because they do tend to be quite bad. I'm going to put some deoxit in the socket anyway,
And I probably will put some on the actual adjustments as well, the volume control, because they're always bad. So yeah, let's get that sorted. So I think we're about there. I did just check the reel table. It's all solid. It's fine. Don't have any problems there. Cleaned this. Interesting mark on there. It looks like almost like writing, but it isn't. But I can't clean that off, and I don't know what is quite going on there. But yeah, I've cleaned all the windows. I've also put some deoxit in the headphone sockets. Let's give that a bit of a clean. Just front part of it, and also in the volume control, which is easier said than done. I'm just going to turn that right the way down. But it will soak in. Just very carefully put some in the top there. It will soak through. And let's give this a bit of a dust off as well, so it looks nice. I mean, there's very little dust in this machine. I'm not going to strip it all out just to clean it out, because it's seen no life. I mean, it really is just so like new. And what a joy. It's really nice to see a machine this tidy. So there's a bit of dust there. It's just a very fine layer of dust. And I've cleaned the flaps as well. I didn't take them off. You can take them off. They're very easy to do. Just pull this out, and these then slide this way. I've shown it in another video. And then you can sort of you need to tension it up with the mechanism to make sure that it sit properly closed like that. Yeah, so the only other thing to say is, before you put the front cover on, make sure you put all these switches right the way down. And then, because these are affected by gravity, so when you put these on, if you haven't moved these and you push this on, if you push it on hard, you will break these bits of plastic. I've seen no end of HF100s with front panels that have these switches just cracked. You won't really notice it from the front usually, but these will get all smashed, and it's not good. So yeah, bit of a top tip there. Okay, so I've done a bit more dust removal, yes, so let's put this back on. So like I say, switches all down, push this on, and it should just sit nicely. You shouldn't get any sort of pressing, anything sort of pressing out or distortion. It should just sit there as well. If it doesn't sit there, then you know something is not right, and it probably is. You missed to do one of those switches. So let's put the screws back in and give it a try. Okay, so front cover's back on. Now you would have noticed that I turned down the headphone volume control, and that's because the actual headphone volume knob does have a little does it? Yes, it does. It has a little line on it which shows roughly what volume you're at against the scale. So we want to make sure that is correct, because you can get it the wrong way round, and that is correct. So the line is pointing upwards rather than downwards. Could do with a bit more of a clean. Well, we'll do that. We'll do that in the fullness of time. So let's set all these back up. Of course, they're all wrong. Yeah, the other thing, if you don't do this as well, you'll probably find that the switches might not work at all. I'm going to leave the meters. Well, let's put the meters on, Yeah, let's give it a try. Okay, so let's put the cassette in. While that laces, I did check those two 47 microfarad 10 volt caps at the power supply. ESR was good, but the values have gone high. So dubious whether they are on the way out, but it's no bad thing to change them. I just do it as a matter of course now. So you can see, I mean, look at that. That is just, it's a thing of beauty. That is such a bright power VFD. It's just wonderful. And view meters, look at that. This is so nice. Plug in headphones, see what they're like. They're actually really good. You can hear that. It's probably not the best thing because there's a motor running. It sounds like it's the hi-fi's choppy. But yeah, there was a lot of noise on there actually. But working that volume control, it's gone. It's clean. It's lovely. Check the sockets. Yeah, really good. Socket's really good. A little bit of noise when I turned it, but in and out a couple of times, give it a bit of a work. It's fine. So yeah, that's it. We are good to go. I mean, it's such a wonderful machine, and it's so lovely to see a machine that's an HF100 that's just so clean and so lovely. Now, I don't know what Rich is going to do with this. I don't know when he's going to sell it. Maybe if he does, I might feature it on an eBay run through, because honestly, I would highly recommend, if he does sell this, buying this, because you're going to have a really solid machine. I mean, I would be very tempted, to be honest, if I didn't have the machines that I do have already. So I've got an HF950, which is like this, quality-wise, but has white LEDs, which you saw ages ago, and an SL-800 as well. So they're my main two Betamax machines. And of course, I've got loads of others. You know, so yeah, I wouldn't be interested in this, but if I was after a machine, good grief, I would jump at this without any hesitation, because it's a really, really good machine. So yeah, but no doubt, now I said that, he's going to keep it. I wouldn't blame him. It's really lovely. It'll last years. So with that, I hope you enjoyed that, and it's just nice to see a machine that's been well stored. That's the big thing. It's obviously not been in a loft. It's been well looked after, and seen so little use. So yeah, what I'll do now with it, obviously I'll put the can back on it, and then I'll give it a run for a few hours, and then it can go back to Rich. And yeah, fantastic. So with that, thank you very much for watching. Please do like and subscribe as well. And yeah, see you in a future video. Bye for now.